This is an excerpt from President Barack Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope. Prologue. It's been almost 10 years since I first ran for political office. I was 35 at the time, 4 years out of law school, recently married, and generally impatient with life. A seat in the Illinois legislature had opened up, and several friends suggested that I run, thinking that my work as a civil rights lawyer and my contacts from my days as a community organizer would make me a viable candidate. After discussing it with my wife, I entered the race and proceeded to do what every first-time candidate does. I talked to everyone who would listen. I went to block club meetings and church socials, beauty shops and barber shops. If two guys were standing on a corner, I would cross the street to hand them campaign literature. And everywhere I went, I would get some version of the same two questions. Where did you get that funny name? And then, you seem like a nice enough guy. Why do you want to go into something dirty and nasty like politics? I was familiar with the question, a variant on the questions asked of me years earlier, when I had first arrived in Chicago to work in low-income neighborhoods. It signaled a cynicism, not simply with politics, but the very notion of a public life. A cynicism that, at least in the South Side neighborhoods I sought to represent, had been nourished by a generation of broken promises. In response, I would usually smile and nod and say that I understood the skepticism, but there was, and always had been, another tradition to politics. A tradition that stretched from the days of the country's founding to the glory of the civil rights movement. A tradition based on the simple idea that we have a stake in one another and that what binds us together is greater than what drives us apart, and that if enough people believed in the truth of that proposition and acted on it, then we might not solve every problem, but we can get something meaningful done. It was a pretty convincing speech, I thought. And although I'm not sure that the people who heard me deliver it were similarly impressed, enough of them appreciated my earnestness and youthful swagger that I made it to the Illinois legislature.